authorities, dear colleagues, researchers and students, welcome to Palermo. It's a great pleasure for me to open the 5th International Summer School in Urban Mobility, organized by my university, the University of Enna, located in the beautiful city of Palermo, which the participation of the University of Palermo, Catania, Rijeka, Croatia, UPC, Polytechnic University of Barcelona, Osijek, Croatia, Mostar, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Wiesbaden, Germany, Manchester, UK, Newcastle, UK, and Maribor, Slovenia. A special thanks to the local authorities of Palermo City. Here we have the President of the Consiglio of Palermo, the Honorable Salvatore Orlando, which today hosts us in this beautiful room, which, given the university involved and the objectives of the summer school, has included it among the events included in the program of Palermo Capitale of Italian Culture of 2018, an important recognition for our initiative. Starting from tomorrow, teachers and researchers of all over Europe will compare their experience and research in the field of urban mobility, with particular reference to environmental sustainability and the safety of roads uses for working session. Session 1, infrastructures for the evolution of urban mobility. In this session, focus on the development of urban mobility, considering the current supply and demand for transport, the evolution of interesting geometries, and the level of service on the road. Session 2, urban planning and traffic modeling. In this session, focus on the planning and design of transport system in terms of sustainability and low environmental impact incidental in light of the evolution of valid traffic modeling tools. Session 3, eco-mobility strategies. This session focuses on strategies to reduce the acoustic environmental impacts related to the various transport infrastructure, outlining the best strategies in terms of eco-mobility. And the session 4, vulnerable users. This focuses on the study of the safety of cyclists and pedestrians with a particular reference to children and the elderly people. For numbers of students, universities of different nationalities involved, and quality of teachers, our summer school, which is this year has reached its 5th edition, is becoming an important moment of growth of the study and research in a strategic sector such as urban mobility. During the 4 sessions, specific PhD students' presentation will be shown, as well as a poster session where students will have the knowledge of the researcher being carried out within the university participating in the summer school. An organization effort certainly not simple that see us all involved in the next 4 days. Finally, I must remember the sponsor of this summer school, without which we would not be able to guarantee the main moment of conviviality. These sponsors are Aduma Car and Van Sharing Company, represented by Dr. Antonio Campione. TPS, Transport Planning Service, a company located in Umbria in the province of Perugia, represented by Dr. Michele Giuliani. RGM, high-profile technical engineering and architecture society of Palermo, represented by engineering Ruggero Cassata. Istud, masterful atelier of Palermo, represented by architetto Salvatore Palmeri and Anna Udina. The company ANAV, Prestien Commandé and Amat, that we have the president, who have contributed to the transfer and leisure activity of this summer school. Social Bike and FIAB Palermo, represented to Architetto Chiara Mini, contributed to the creation of a bike tour around the city center. Mobility Org, Mobility and Mobilita Palermo, who contributed to the dissemination of the events. I conclude with a special thanks to our Tiziana, who has worked hard for the success of your stay in Palermo, which I am sure will remain forever among your memories. I'm sorry for my English. Thank you very much, friends. Okay, now I give the speaker to the president of Consiglio Palermo City, il dottor Salvatore Orlando.
Grazie, Presidente. Velocemente, grazie per aver scelto Palermo e per aver scelto Palazzo delle Aquile e Sala delle Labili per questo vostro incontro, il quinto incontro della Summer School Mobility. Grazie perché credo che dal vostro convegno, dalla vostra scuola possano nascere per Palermo opportunità di confronto. Palermo è molto impegnata sui temi della mobilità, qui c'è il presidente dell'AMAT e il direttore dell'azienda che gestisce il servizio pubblico locale a Palermo, molto c'è da fare, molto è stato fatto, c'è un ex assessore che ha contribuito a dotare Palermo per la prima volta del piano generale del traffico urbano, altre cose vanno fatte e credo che il sostegno delle università siciliane alla città di Palermo sia utile per raggiungere importanti risultati. Molte cose possiamo fare insieme, vi auguro buon lavoro, buona permanenza e soprattutto godetevi la Sicilia in questo periodo d'estate che è molto bella.
The president of AMAT, the municipality of transportation in Palermo, il onorevole Michele Cimino.
Il mio un brevissimo saluto, questa è la mia prima uscita pubblica dopo l'incarico affidatomi dal sindaco della città di Palermo e come giustamente dice il Presidente del Consiglio è un'uscita internazionale perché ho avuto modo di leggere i relatori, i partecipanti a questa interessante iniziativa che il professore Tesoriere ha fortemente voluto qui a Palermo e per noi è un grande piacere poter dare seguito ad un'iniziativa che già era stata sicuramente deliberata dal precedente Consiglio di amministrazione. Ringrazio anche il dottor Caminiti che mi ha accompagnato e che da tempo segue con attenzione tutte le iniziative di sviluppo collegate col mondo universitario. Palermo e con la sua azienda, l'AMAT, sta cercando di stare al passo con i momenti di innovazione della mobilità e ritengo che incontri come questo siano incontri che servano anche a noi per cercare di mettere in pratica ciò che la teoria, l'accademia propone e propone probabilmente soprattutto alle istituzioni. Grazie.
Okay, allora now Tiziana Campisi show you the organization of this 4 days and the university that are together represented.
Okay. Good evening to everyone. My name is Tiziana Campisi. I want to show something about the organization of this 5th edition explain something about the program and the other activities. But before then, I want to thanks to the city of Palermo, because now, today, we are here. Palermo in recent years is represented with an increase of tourism in this area. The tourism has been on the increase of the project that will be undertaken during this year, 2018, when there is Palermo just like capital of culture, to enhance further the cultural heritage of a city that, with the strength gained from its strong tradition, can proudly face future challenges. I want to thank my dean and everyone to participate today. I want to show something about my university. University of Enna, named after the goddess Kore, a mythological aspect related to the Greek. According to the Greek-Roman mythology, Kore was abducted by Hades and taken underground while collecting flowers near Enna, where is located our university. Then Jupiter allowed her to return to her mother Demetra, once a year, each time thus returning spring to Earth. The Kore University of Enna is one of the most appreciated Italian universities. Among the 18 private non-state universities, the UK is the third largest in Italy for the teaching staff and number of courses, after the Catholic University of Milan and Rome and the Bocconi University of Milan. The University of Enna Kore is also the only Italian private university with a faculty of engineering and architecture. The Kore University offers various undergraduate, master's and PhD courses, covering both the humanistic and the scientific as well technological fields. Related to our faculty, I want to show something about our courses. Architecture has always been a must for Italy and Catalonia, Politecnico UPC. For this reason, the undergraduate and master degrees course in architecture is an international course in which it is possible, if desired, to also achieve the double Italy and Spain diploma. Architecture is a 5-year course. Another course is aerospace engineering. In this slide, you can show the new campus of engineering, where it is located a lot of our labs and classrooms. The aerospace engineering laboratory of Kore in Enna is unique in Europe. In fact, no other universities has two flight simulators, static and dynamic simulators, one which is full motion with a very high level of realism. Its research is carried out of the human factor in piloting. Real civilian and military pilots are trained, both from Italy and many other countries. The Marta Center that you can found on this slide, okay. Marta is the acronym of Mediterranean Aeronautics Research and Transportation Academy, was built in the new didactic, just a problem here, okay. A research site of the Faculty of Engineering and Architecture. The center will house the teaching and research activities related to the degrees course in aerospace engineering, and is characterized to be the first laboratory in Europe with flight simulators for research on aviation human factor. Inside the Marta Center are installed a full flight simulator level D of Cessna model and a static simulator just like helicopter EC-135. Another labs related to the study of the earthquake and the structures is LEDA, LEDA is the dynamic engineering laboratory that, with its size characteristic to entire core size center, able to simulate every type of earthquake, has the largest vibrating tables in Europe, but not only that. The laboratories that support the degrees course in civil engineering, master and bachelor, and are very advanced and fitted with unique equipment. Our computer engineering completes course educational offer in the scientific technological area. You can see on this slide Core platform also is where is located a lot of different labs relating to geotechnical aspects, infrastructure aspects, and other. In computer engineering, students can learn the languages and systems that underlie global communication and the production of the future. Be also most of the system for human and artificial intelligence and artificial learning. Computer engineering completes course, and the mission of our university is not only to promote greater awareness of Mediterranean and European cultural realities, but also to allow a permanent exchange of teachers and students with other universities and cultural institutions around the world. The Core University policy aims to train young people for a future based on knowledge, science, cooperation, and peace, no matter which cultural religions, political opinions, sexual interests, economic condition they belong to. After that, I want to show our experience about summer school. During the last 10 years, we organized a lot of summer school in different fields, aerospace engineering, for example, architecture. 3 years ago, we started with our first experience in infrastructure sector, with a lot of them. After we spent in Maribor our summer school with a lot of professors and researchers. And now, during this year, we are here, and I hope to cooperate to each one. I want to show now a small abstract of this, just like a biographical sketch of each participant. And I hope that during the other days, every researcher and PhD students can provide to have a small presentation of each one. I want to start with my group. I want to present Professor Giovanni Tesoriera. Giovanni Tesoriera is full professor of roads, railways, and airport science 2001, and the Faculty of Engineering and Architecture of Enna, or the University of Enna Core. He is prorector and the Dean of Faculty of Engineering and Architecture of UK. More than 35 years of academic and consulting activities with infrastructure sector, including traffic analysis, road safety analysis, road and airport design. After, I want to show a small video sketch of Professor Tullio Giuffre. In 2006, he's got the PhD doctorate qualification in the field of geodesy and geomatics at PhD schools of Politecnico of Milano in Italy. From May 2014, he is Associate Professor of Roads, Railways and Airports at the University of Enna Core. At the present, he is a teacher of road, railways and airport design and construction, and the course of civil engineering master degree and at architectural master degree. More than 15 years of academic and consulting activities with infrastructure sector, including traffic analysis, road safety analysis, road and airport design, infrastructure payment management, and intelligent transport system ITS. I want to show also the Biosketch of my colleagues, Professor Dario Ticali, is Associate Professor in Road, Railways and Airports. He has more 14 papers on international book and conference about transport infrastructures and environmental assessments. Dario has been Dean of National AWPC Committee for Environment Ministry. Now is working on autonomous vehicle and road technologies for its use. I want to present myself. I'm an assistant professor on transport system. I cooperate with Professor Tullio Giuffre, Giovanni Tesoriere, Dario Ticoli, and other students. And my topic is related to road safety and transport system. I want also to continue to present the other university. I want to spend a few words about Dr. Neil Thorpe. He is currently a lecturer in transport studies in the School of Civil Engineering and Geoscience at Newcastle University, UK. With over 25 years experience of research, conducted empirical investigation of attitudinal and behavioral response to technology-based travel demand management solution which aim to reduce congestion and atmospheric pollution and improve road safety. His current interests include new statistical approach for evaluating road safety schemes and identify collision hotspots, modeling the traffic-related impacts of hydraulic fracturing operation, and the development new business models that are able to reduce costs but also provide better value for people and the environmental through the design, construction, operation, maintenance, decommissioning, or conversion of infrastructures. After, I want to present Dr. Delia Dimitriou from Manchester Metropolitan University. She is a research fellow with Manchester Metropolitan University in the UK. She is advisor strategic development transport system on Catapult on UK. She is a European Commission expert in transport research, member of TAG for Horizon 2020 program, and involved in INCO International Cooperation Transport. Delia was a part of a team that won the 2017 Nobel Peace Prize for its work on climate change and is a lead author of the APCC 50 Assessment Report, WG3 Mitigation, Chapter 8 Transport, 2010-2014. Delia's research focus is on decarbonizing transport, being involved in several projects and initiatives at the European and international level. About Catapult Transport System, we have Dr. Fabio Galattiotto. He is a transport engineering with PhD in transport and economic with over 15 years experience in transport modeling, environmental monitoring, impact assessment, and traffic safety. His career started in 2001 in Italy as freelance consultant, then moved to the academic environment at Newcastle University, delivering high-quality research in transport and environmental topics for 8 years and producing over 15 peer-reviewed publications. Now is the time of Maribor University. Thomas Tollazzi is a full professor in the field of civil engineering and at the University of Maribor, Faculty of Civil Engineering, Transportation Engineering and Architectures. He holds a Master of Science degree in Civil Engineering and a PhD in Civil Engineering also. On 1999, he finished postdoctoral study on Università degli Studi in Trieste, Faculty of Engineering. He has a position as full professor at University of Maribor, in which he combined research and teaching activities on the field of road infrastructures and road safety. Matthias Strammel is a full professor in the field of traffic and transportation engineering at the University of Maribor, Faculty of Civil Engineering, Transportation Engineering and Architecture, holding PhD degree in the field of mechanical engineering. He is a Vice Dean for International Cooperation on the faculty and the head of chair of Traffic Engineering and Safety. His research work refers to the field of traffic and transportation engineering. It focuses on traffic safety, micro-simulation models, and ITS. He is co-author also of over 40 journal papers. Marco Renzelli is an associate professor in the field of civil engineering at the University of Maribor. He obtained PhD degree at the University of Trieste in Italy in 2009. In almost 20 years of experience in research or teaching of road infrastructures, design, construction and maintenance, and also road traffic safety, he obtained valuable leadership skills, considerable experience in project management, on sense for organization of work. His research work refers to the fear of road infrastructures, road safety effects of road infrastructures, and infrastructures for cyclists. He has been involved in several international and domestic research projects. About Rijeka University, I want to present Sania Surdonia. I want to change, okay. Sania Surdonia is an assistant professor at Faculty of Civil Engineering of University of Rijeka. She has received her PhD in 2017 at the Faculty of Engineering, University of Zagreb. Her main research interests are in the fields of transportation engineering and urban traffic infrastructures. Professor Alexandra De Luca Tibias. She is a full professor at the Faculty of Civil Engineering, University of Rijeka. She is head of Department for Transportation Engineering and the Faculty of Civil Engineering. Her main research interests are in the field of transportation engineering and the urban traffic infrastructures, and she teaches different courses regarding roads and intersection design, urban transport, and traffic safety of all levels of studies. About Mostar, we have here Professor Ivan Lovric. He is Associate Professor in the field of Highway and Traffic Engineering at the University of Mostar, Faculty of Civil Engineering. He is head of chair of transportation engineering. He has also lost a lot of time and nerves in the last 6 years as dean of the faculty. He is co-author of 13 scientific and professional papers, 3 publications, 2 books, and 15 professional projects. He is also visiting professor at University of Sarajevo, Faculty of Civil Engineering. I want to change and I want to present about Osijek University our Dr. Professor Irena Istoka-Oktovic. She worked as an associate professor at Faculty of Civil Engineering, Osijek, University of Osijek. In her research, she deals with micro-simulation traffic flow. She is also involved in the traffic safety research, especially analysis of pedestrian movements in the urban traffic network. And I want to finish to present University of Palermo and University of Catania. About Palermo, we have here Professor Marco Migliore. Is Associate Professor of Transport System Theory, Transport Planning and Sustainable Mobility Policies at the University of Palermo. He is member of the Committee of the Doctorate in Civil Environmental Materials Engineering. He is currently the coordinator of the degree and of the master degree course in civil engineering. He has carried out of his scientific activities studying the supply and demand transport model for passenger and freight, and in particular the optimal design of the urban and regional transport network. Professor Renzo Le Cardane, he is an architect and PhD at University of Palermo and École Nationale des Ponts et Chaussées, is associate professor in architectural and urban design and the Department of Architecture of Polytechnical School of University of Palermo. He has carried out an intense teaching activities at the École of Architecture, Paris, Malaquais. And I want to complete to present University of Catania with Professor Giuseppe Inturri. Giuseppe Inturri is an assistant professor of transport and department of electric, electronic and computer engineering of the University of Catania and the rector's delegate for sustainability and mobility. He gives lecture on transport teaching in undergraduate and master degrees course, and he is member of the PhD School of Assessment and Mitigation of Urban and Regional Risk. His areas of research include sustainable mobility, public participation in transport planning, demands responsive transport service, agent-based simulation on transport system. He represents also the University of Catania in several European projects. And finally, I want to thank you also to the full professor Matteo Ignacolo of the University of Catania. Okay.
We have the pleasure to have the Sindaco De Luca Orlando, the Mayor of Comune di Palermo, and we give also the present. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to welcome all of you. I wish to say, ask for your excuse for my delay, but I think that it's necessary just to stay here to give you my welcome in the city of Palermo, in this building that historically has been the building where the city government has been. Since the time the mayor was called the praetor, and this one was the so-called the Senato Pretorio. Now the mayor is the mayor, and this one is the city council. And you know that normally the history of a city is possible to read in the page of a book of history. In the case of Palermo, we can read the history of Palermo through the lapids in this all. 500 years of lapids just describing the history of our city, starting from the King Charles II. I presume he was very rich. Passing through Giovanna Albanese Trigona, the first lady elected in the city council of Palermo, just remembering Libero Grassi, Pio La Torre, killed by the mafia, Giovanni Falcone, Paolo Borsellino, and the judge Antonio Caponnetto. The last lapid just is in my right side, remembering Piersanti Mattarella, the president of the Sicilian region. I was a young professor in the university, 30 years old. He was the legal advisor of the governor of the Sicily, Piersanti Mattarella, killed by politicians, by mafiabos. He is the brother of our president of the Italian Republic, Sergio Mattarella. And we are proud that the Palermitan is president of the Italian Republic, the brother of a guy, of a politician, that I consider just my leader, that I was the legal advisor of him, that now is the president of the Italian Republic. This is Palermo today. There is no city in Europe so culturally changed in the last 40 years like Palermo. I know, somebody can say that Berlin changed, somebody can say Moscow changed, somebody can say Praga, Warsaw, Vilnius, Riga changed. But those cities changed in connection with international changes, changed in connection with institutional changes, changed because it was the end of Soviet Union, it was unification of the Germany, it was the fall of Berlin Wall, We changed it without changing the Constitution. We changed it in the mind, not changing our Constitution. I want to say thank you to the people who were engaged in fight against the mafia. They were considered, as I was considered, atheist and communist. Nobody's perfect, but I've never been atheist. Nobody's perfect, but I've never been communist. But I was considered atheist because I was against the mafia, and the Catholic bishops were mafiosi. I'm Catholic, nobody's perfect, but I'm Catholic. But I was considered atheist because I was against the Catholic bishop that were friend of mafia boss, or in some case, mafia boss. I was considered communist. I've never been communist, but I was against the government, and the prime minister, the minister were normally mafia boss. So I was considered just an alternative, an opposition, a communist. Now Palermo is culturally changed. We have to say thanks to the people who lost their life in fight against the mafia. In 10 minutes, I have to run to Corleone together with Nando Alla Chiesa, the son of the Generale della Chiesa, killed the 3rd September 1982. And we go together to Corleone just to where the killer moved to kill him, together with the son, just to remember that Palermo changed. We are capital of the culture. We are hosting Manifesta, the largest biennial of art in Europe, 2 years ago in Zurich, 4 years ago in St. Petersburg, and this year in Palermo, 2020, will be in Marseille. And we are proud to be the city welcoming everybody. Welcome everybody. If somebody asks to me how many migrants are in Palermo, I do not reply 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. I reply no one. Who lives in Palermo is Palermitan. I'm sorry for you, but for my decision until when you will stay in Palermo, you will be Palermitan. I'm sorry. Because I make no distinction between people who was born in Palermo and people living in Palermo. You know what that means? It does mean that Palermo is exciting and safe. It's exciting because it's like a mosaic of different pieces of stones, different colors, different dimensions. Living in harmony, it is safe. Because when some Muslims arrive in Palermo, it could be dangerous. The Muslims living in Palermo call the mayor, and the mayor call the police. They defend their city before defending their religion, their homeland. It does happen in the Ballet in Paris. It does happen in the city around Brussels. Last week I inaugurated officially with the Lectio Magistralis the academic year of Sciences Po. Just speaking about Palermo, city welcoming everybody. We are a city exciting and safe. And we are exciting and safe because we decide to be for the mobility. Mobility. Since humanity started just to live, the development is strongly connected with mobility. From the wheel to the web. From the invention of the wheel to the invention of the web. And I think the future of the world has two names, Google and Ahmed the Migrant. Google, or if you prefer some other multinational of the web. Google is the virtual connection, and Ahmed the Migrant is human connection. To live in a world only with Google is a tragedy. A tragedy. To live in a world only with the Luca the Migrant, Ahmed the Migrant, probably doesn't give guarantee for the future. Probably you don't know, but Palermo is the best cabled city Mediterranean area. Our banda larga, our telematic ring is just the same only in Milan, not in the rest of the Mediterranean area. But we welcome everybody. And I'm sorry for some German. Some of you is coming from Germany. Niemand kommt aus Deutschland. No. Es tut mir leid. I love Germany. German language is my second language. My first language is Sicilian. Probably my fourth is Italian. I am a German actor. I received the Doctor Causa, I'm Doctor Causa, honoris causa for German philosophy. I'm jurist but for German philosophy. But I'm sorry, Palermo is not Frankfurt. Palermo is not Berlin. Palermo is Istanbul. Palermo is Beirut. Palermo is Tel Aviv. Palermo is not a European city. Palermo is a Middle East city in Europe. And according to Ius Soli, we are proud to be European. So my goal, my project, is to let Palermo to be Beirut with Wi-Fi and tram. Just repeating the importance of mobility. So you can understand that for us, mobility is very important because we don't want to be Frankfurt, but we want to be Beirut with Wi-Fi and with tram. And I'm sure that everybody will speak to you better than I about the progress. With your authorization, thanking Professor Giuffre, thanking Professor Tesoriere, thanking the President Cimino, the President Orlando, thanking the Agent Mayor Yolanda Riolo, I wish to give you the copy in English of my speech last week in Paris, where I speak about how important is mobility. Not technical mobility, but mobility as the spirit of a city. I think that today the flag of the city is no longer a theater. The flag of the city is no longer a church. The flag of the city is mobility. Tell me how do you move, and I will tell you who are you. It is exactly the reason for which I believe that it's very important your presence here in this hall. And I hope you will excuse me, but I will really have to run to Corleone. You know Corleone. Just not to have fear. My name is not Luca. My name is Leo Luca. Leo Luca is the name of Saint Leo Luca. Saint Leo Luca is the saint patron of Corleone. My grandfather was born in the palace, in the city hall, because it was the aristocratic palace of my family, sold to the city administration. So if you go to Corleone, you will be welcomed by the mayor just in the place where my grandfather was born. So when I am in Corleone, I don't say that mafia boss are criminals. Everybody knows they are criminals. Even they know to be criminals. I say they are not worthy to be Corleonese. This is more important than to say they are criminal. Because I don't come from Sweden. I come from Corleone. So, just to let you imagine to live in a really exciting and safe city, I introduce you the President of City Council. The name is Orlando. Is not my relative. He comes from Corleone too. So the city is in the hands of Corleonese. And in the past, the mayor of Palermo was a mafia boss. Now I am the boss without the mafia. I'm boss against the mafia. Enjoy your stay. Thanks.
Mr. President.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for your presence.
Let's have a photo. A picture. During the picture, can you give, please, the copy to everybody? They are in English and French. Perfetto. Speech. Andiamo a tutto, sì. Perfetto. Cheese, formaggio, spaghetti. May I ask you to have a photo with all of you together? Okay. We come there. Let's go. Let's go. Sì. Non posso...
the second part of the Tiziana. The second part is the organization of these days. Here we have the assessor of mobility of the Comune di Palermo, dottoressa Yolanda Riolo.
Only a few words. Volevo prendere il mio telefono, professore, perché avevo preparato. Yes. Good evening, everybody. Excuse me. Only a few words because the mayor told everybody the philosophy of the town, the philosophy of our city. And he told you about capital of culture. And the most important thing, I think, that I can add to the to your experience in Palermo is that we are making a lot of things with AMAT. You know, AMAT is our company in-house. We are making a lot of investments, but the problem is that with the incoming of all these migrants, probably what we are doing is not always seen with the right view. I mean, something is not very popular. You know, the mayor sometimes has got some critics because Palermitans want all the services for them. It's normal. And as the measure told before, without mobility there is no growth. But the growth has to include also the migrants, also people who has not the means, economic means, to pay the ticket. So this is our problem. So it's very hard to tell you this, but this is the truth. So probably the mayor is not popular in that sense. And also big structure we are building in the town are obviously creating a lot of traffic. Palermo is an old town, as you can see, and the problems are really a lot. But I think the communication is important, the information and the culture level of the people. The cultural problem is I think at the bottom of every investment, because if you do investment but people don't understand, I think that Palermo will be an incredible town in 3 years, but I see that, but people, all the 1 billion person live in Palermo. Do you think they understand? Do you think they have this vision? This is our problem. Because we have to fight with the popular policy. You know that Italy is now in this moment crossing this period of popular questions. So I hope we can go and have the courage, because we have to go straight on with the courage, and I hope the courage will win, and I hope you will underline how Amazon, how digital revolution is changing our our style of life, and also digital administration, because in Palermo we are very, very proud to be one of the first town in Italy, perhaps the first one, that completed the circle of the administration, of the digital administration. So now we are able to do at home a lot of registration with the municipality services. The impact of this, as the impact of Amazon and other kind of shopping online, I think will have a lot of consequences in our lives, and on pollution, obviously. Pollution is always at the bottom, also with the culture, with the circular economy. So I thank all the people that permit to Palermo to be the headquarter of this conference, and have a good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Allora, riprendiamo the presentation of the
We can start with some details about the program. We have 2 different locations. Today we stay here, and tomorrow and the other lesson are located in the School of Law and Social Economic Science, close to Makeda Street, is less than 15 meters from here, is in front of the big fountain, and we can show something about the program, because after my introduction of participants and details of the program, we have the Lectio Magistralis of Neil Torpe about the development of urban mobility at a European overview. After, we will go all together to dinner at Alcovo dei Beati Paoli. Beati Paoli is the name of a secretive sect who have existed in medieval Sicily. During this dinner, I want to explain something about this history. The location is close to Piazza Marina, and we can go together after the presentation of Professor Neil Torpe. At 8:30 we can start to dinner. During the second day, there is the session 1 about infrastructures for the evolution of urban mobility. I want to ask to Professor Thomas Tollazzi to present, to show all professors during the first section. We have 3 different lessons made by Professor Thomas Tollazzi about to level roundabouts in urban areas. The lessons of Professor Ivan Lovrich about level of service of 2-way rural roads. And after, we have my presentation about public transport and infrastructures at the heart of the integrated urban mobility solution. After the coffee break, we can start with researcher PhD presentation, with Boris Cultura, with his work about problem of estimating trip generation in cities, example of Mostar, and after with Ivana Pranic about payments, macrotexture, and its impact on traffic safety. During the info time, I give you more details of the day. Please, during the morning of tomorrow, it is necessary to take me all printed poster, and after I can hang up on the wall very close to the classroom, and after we can have and show something during poster section. After, we have a discussion, and all light lunch will be located in front of Piazza Pretoria. It's very close. The name of the restaurant is Antica Pizzeria Bellini. And during the evening, we organize something about mobility to beach. We organize transfer by bus, and we can spend some hours in the beach in Mondello to visit or to swim, if you prefer. And at 8:30, we will have the common dinner at Osteria Lo Bianco. Is one of the main traditional and ancient osteria of Palermo that will be located in Via Notar Bartolo, and we are working about the transfer from your B&B and the hostel by bus because it's far from here, and we can organize on WhatsApp or during the info time. During the third day, there is the second session about urban planning and traffic modeling. Alexandra De Luca, please, will be the chairman of the day to present the lessons of Professor Alexandra De Luca and Sania Surdonia. The lesson will be about sustainable design of urban roads with emphasis of speed models for urban roads. After there will be the lesson of Professor Lorenzo Le Cardane about active infrastructures, challenges and projects for the city of the railway ring of Palermo. And after there is the third lessons of Dr. Fabio Galatiotto about telematic for innovative traffic emissions, modeling to support geofencing approach for air quality action plan. After coffee break, we have the session about researcher and PhD. We have Goran Jovanovic presentation about socio-economic status and relation to traffic accident in urban areas. After there is the presentation of Vincenza Torrisi about innovative transport system to promote sustainable mobility. And the third is about Salvatore Trubia with surrogate safety measures and evaluation of safety performance function at roundabout in case of autonomous vehicle driving experience. During info time, I give you more details about the light lunch and the activities during the dinner and other time. During this section also, we have two other presentation because there is poster section about master students, and it's our pleasure to have here Arturo Steinovo, Iva and Emma Blazina, Ivan Klasic and Ivan Isic, Natasha Boyce, and Arturo also. I want to explain something about the afternoon on the third day because there is also poster section, and it's possible to have more details about our sponsor. In fact, we will schedule it presentation related to RGM Studio Cassata about ISTU Design SRLS, TPS Transport Planning Service, and Adumacar. The final section is just like leisure time. We can spend a social bike tour around the city center, sponsored by Social Bike and FIAB Palermo. And after, we will spend dinner at Antica Focacceria San Francesco, when we can test traditional meals. It is located in Street Alessandro Paternostro. And after, I want to conclude about the other section about eco-mobility strategies. I ask to Delia Dimitriou to be the chairman of the session. We have three different lessons about Delia Dimitriou with low carbon innovation strategies toward eco-mobilities. After, there is the presentation of Professor Marco Migliore with the roadside pollutant level estimation and eco-mobility strategies. And after also, we have Professor Giuseppe Inturri about demand responsive shared transport service for sustainable mobility. After coffee break, we have our session about researcher and PhD with Vanya Skalinski and Graham Ayres. And after we have discussion and info time about the light lunch and the leisure time. During this day, we organize a Palermo tour with the city sign bus tour. The arrival and departure is very close to the B&B of each professor in front of Piazza Pretoria. After that, we have the gala dinner at Bebop Restaurants. It is located in Via Riccardo Wagner, very close to Palermo Center. Just like the 5 days, about the session 4, about vulnerable users, I want to ask tomorrow to Irena Istoka-Ottovic to be the chairman. She presents a lesson about pedestrian traffic safety of children in urban traffic network. After we have Professor Matthias Schrammel with an overview of video footage methodologies using for analyzing parameters in traffic. And after Professor Marco Renzelli with the analysis of the bicycle used among students in Maribor. After we can conclude with Chiara Gruden about our PhD students, and after we can conclude the section of the summer school with summer school attendance activities, the final ceremony and light lunch at Antica Pizzeria Bellini. If you want, you can show all details or all information in your bag, because there is a lot of information on the map or in the program. And every day I can show you something, and be careful, because in each bag there is a different ticket for your meals and for your bus transfer. Every day I want to explain you the correct ticket to use for different activities. I'm complete my presentation. If you have any question, you can ask me. And now we can start with the lessons of Professor Neil Thorpe. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Tiziana. Really wonderful to be here in Palermo. Following the mayor of Palermo is not going to be very easy. And I'm also aware that I am between you and your evening meal, so hopefully I won't detain you too long. I think what the mayor was saying was very, very important about mobility and the future, and what our colleague was saying after that about popularity. We are working in the area of public policy, and we have to have the public on board with what we as academics and researchers and politicians want to achieve. It was a great honour to be invited to give the lecture. I then thought, what am I going to tell people about? And so I thought I'd take the opportunity to tell you about some of the things that have probably been worrying me about why we might not get where we want to be in about 20, 30 years' time. So, future directions, will we get to where we want to be? My background for almost 30 years now has been at the interface between technology and troubled behaviour, and how we can use technology to change behaviour, whether that be congestion, the environment, or road safety. And that has been with some very unpopular policies like road user charging, and also looking at driver feedback. So how can we use technology to influence behaviour? How can we use it to make people do what we want them to do? And I've worked very much in terms of public attitudes, and how we can gain acceptability, because without the acceptability, the politicians will not be able to implement the policies that they want. Looking at the future will be driven by technology. Whether we like it or not, there are a lot of very, very powerful dimensions that are happening that we want to happen that the public may not be so familiar with. But we mustn't forget that people are at the centre of mobility. And without them, we won't get anywhere. So how can we make sure that we get the public to buy into what we want so that we can achieve the aims? So what I want to cover in the next few minutes is a little bit of looking back at where we have been, where we are now, and where we might be going in the future. I'm aware that there are a lot of young academics in the audience. It will be their job over the next 30 or 40 years to implement what the older ones are telling people we ought to be doing. And so it's their job to be able to implement these things. And I think then there are three dimensions to where we might be going in the future. The one is on vehicle ownership. The second one is how our vehicles or energy be used. And the third is the level of automation. I then want to just mention something that I think is really quite fundamental here, technology push and market pull. And have we got the balance correct? If we haven't, you'll end up with technology that's not being used. If you're too much the other way, you have demand that is not being satisfied. I then want to talk a little bit about electric and automated vehicles and what might be standing in the way of them becoming mainstream in the mobility market in the future. And then finally, how do we create the market demand, or do we have to give people no option and tell them that you will be driving an electric vehicle or you will be driving an automated vehicle? We'd rather people understood and accept why we want them to do these things. And then I'll finish with some final thoughts and conclusions. Where have we come from? Well, if we go back a few years now, before and immediately after the post-war period, we were very much dominated by public transport, walking and cycling. And that was within a framework of very traditional household structures. We then had the growth of the private car ownership and use, very much based on oil-based economies, and the sustainable modes took a hit. We're very much dependent on the car. Walking, cycling and public transport has become very much the second-class modes. Towards the end of the last century, we became frustrated with the externalities of congestion, of pollution and casualties. And I think early this century, we were trying to get people back to walking, cycling and sustainable modes. And I wonder whether we have abandoned that now, thinking, well, you can't just get rid of the car, and the future will be vehicle-orientated. And that causes issues for cycling and walking, and therefore the health and all those kind of impacts that we have. And I think the future will be driven by these three dimensions of ownership, power, and vehicle control. You probably won't be able to read all of that, so I'll just move on to this one that's a little bit clearer. What is driving the agenda? Well, there's innovation. There is a huge business opportunity in smart transport. In the UK, I think the latest estimate is in 2018, the smart transport market was worth about $100 million. Technology is everywhere. Smartphones are now international. Everyone has at least one, maybe two. And it's a new technology everywhere. We heard the Mayor of Palermo saying how Wi-Fi and the internet is very much central to how the city of Palermo will operate. Behaviour. We are now working from home a lot more, we're shopping on the internet a lot more. That's driving the agenda. The top right-hand side, resilience, our infrastructure has to be able to withstand sudden changes, either caused by weather earthquake or whatever it might be, our infrastructure has to be resilient. Air quality, we're very much aware of climate change, that's driving it. And also we are moving to very much an urbanised way of living. There are figures out there of how many people will be living in urban areas in the next decades. So there'll be benefits that can be gained from that. Young people are our future. These are the people that are going to be really affected by whatever policy we implement. Young people's travel costs are going up. There's evidence that they are using cars less, not necessarily because they are more environmentally aware. We think it's because they want to be on their phones the whole time and driving just gets in the way of that. Young people are increasingly living at home, less time at work. They're living in urban areas and maybe more used to using public transport to move around. But the impact of technology is not as obvious as it may seem. In some ways it can reduce the need to travel, in other ways it can encourage people to move around and to travel. More at my end of the scale, we have an ageing population as well. Half of people over 70 report some kind of mobility disability. Older people are more likely to live in rural areas where public transport, walking and cycling may not be viable alternatives, and people are working longer. Every year my retirement age moves on a year because of financial issues with pensions and so forth, and therefore this will have an impact on commuting behaviour. So if you think about the future, I think there's going to be 5 pillars of intelligent mobility. In the top left-hand corner, we have connectivity. Vehicles and users will be more connected. Vehicles will be talking to each other. Users will be talking to each other. The top right-hand corner, we have automation, either fully automated vehicles or highly automated vehicles. The bottom left, electric. Electric vehicles or maybe hydrogen might be a more long-term, better option. And the bottom right-hand corner, sharing, the shared economy. Not necessarily owning a vehicle, but sharing a vehicle. And at the middle of that, we have how we're going to pay for all this. How we're going to charge people for using an electric automated taxi or whatever. You can simplify that in a way to these 3 dimensions of ownership, control and power. Ownership, where you have an entirely privately owned fleet, or 100% shared ownership. In terms of automation, traditionally the driver does everything. At the other end of the scale, you have a fully automated vehicle. And in terms of power, you have the traditional internal combustion engine. And at the other end, you have some kind of a zero-emission vehicle. How far will we move along each of those dimensions? That is for us to decide. We are moving on each of them. We haven't got very far at the moment, but it depends on where we want to end up. At the moment, we are still largely dominated by internal combustion engine, privately owned cars that are driven by humans. The end point, if you go to the end of each of those 3 dimensions, will be dominated totally by shared ownership vehicles, all zero emission, all fully automated. Is that where we want to be? When do we want to get there? How long can we afford to wait to get there? Or will we settle for somewhere in between? And that can be very complicated, where you have automated vehicles and non-automated vehicles driving around together. Petrol, diesel, electric, hydrogen, you've got different power supplies, all of those you've got to supply. So in terms of ownership, probably very aware of the sharing economy. It's grown in the last 10 to 15 years, and there are, I'm sure we've noticed some of the sponsors, car clubs. In Germany, there's a car to go with 14,000 vehicles, a car in America with 12,000, and in Italy, I think you have Enjoy with 2,700 vehicles. So there are a growing number of these kind of share ownership car clubs. In terms of control, we're moving from automated vehicle, where things are done automatically, to what we call autonomous or self-governing vehicle. And we have the level of 0 to 5, where 0 is totally human-driven, 5 is fully automated. At the moment, we're probably around level 3. In terms of power, we are still very much dominated by internal combustion engines. Electric vehicles are only about 0.2% of the total number of passenger light-duty vehicles in the world. Growth is very sporadic, and hydrogen may still be a longer-term option. So what are the motivations behind these various dimensions? Vehicle ownership, I think, has come very much bottom-up, from the public, from society, enabled by the internet, where we can book and pay for things online. It has grown following the last great economic recession, but how big is the potential market? Is it still going to remain quite specialised, or is it going to be growing to something that is mainstream? Vehicle power is driven very much by environmental concerns, but not really a huge motivating factor when you're buying a car, I would argue. When you're buying a car, there are a lot more things you think about before you get to how it's actually powered. And that may well require policy and market intervention, as we are seeing, for example, in the UK. Vehicle automation is a different one. I think this is probably driven more by safety concerns. But do drivers actually want to give up driving? If not, why would they buy an automated vehicle? Or they may want to give up driving some of the time, but not all of the time. So we have some kind of hybrid solution. It may also be to do with network efficiency, reducing congestion. So the question at the bottom is, are the environmental and safety concerns within the general public on their own sufficient to achieve the market share that we think we might need in the future? Political intervention will probably be required, and that will require some kind of incentive and deterrence. I found this image, and it sort of summed up quite a lot of what I was thinking. I work with a lot of technology people, and I'm more on the behavioural side. There are people saying we have great technology, but the public saying, but yeah, it doesn't meet what we want. Okay? And you have to get the balance between the two. At the moment, I think it's too much technology push and not enough market pull. A useful definition of technology push, and the underlined part at the end is the key bit: developing invention without proper consideration of whether or not it satisfies a user need. Are we happy that what we are developing is meeting what the people think they need? Alternatively, market pull is where you have a need or requirement requiring some kind of technological solution. And you need to get the balance between the two. If you have too much technology push, you'll have technology that nobody wants to use. If you have too much market demand, then you'll have market pull, you'll have unsatisfied demand. Alternatively, I found this quote from Steve Jobs: some people say give the customer what they want, but that's not my approach. Our job is to figure out what they're going to want before they do. I think Henry Ford once said, if I asked customers what they wanted, they would have told me a faster horse. People don't know what they want until you show it to them. That's why I never rely on market research. Our task is to read things that are not yet on the page. So we have market pull, demand, market technology push, market pull, and also this idea that people don't know what they want and our job to demonstrate the trial and to make them aware of the possibilities. So what are the market needs? I'm saying that I don't think necessarily the market needs are there. So if we think of the public, do the public think they need zero-emission vehicles? Operating costs may be important, although we know from academic research that fuel costs are not really very accurately perceived by users. You fill your car up with fuel once a month and then you forget about that. Environmental considerations are always not that prominent. Do the public think they need automated vehicles? I don't think I need an automated vehicle. The benefits of driving, I get enjoyment from driving. I get a feel of sensation, I can go fast, I'm in control. I enjoy driving. Why take that away from me? Do the public think they need shared ownership? A car is not just a means of getting from A to B. It can be a measure of who you are, your status. It has much more about it. So that's the public. What about the government? The government, at all levels, local, national, international, they have targets. Some of them are legal requirements that they have to hit. And so they are putting huge investment in research and development. Can they afford it not to happen? Okay? If the public aren't there with them, they're spending all this money, but can they afford for these things not to happen? Think about vehicle manufacturers. There is a huge market potential. Again, can a vehicle manufacturer afford not to be in the game? There are huge markets out there. Currently there are 1 billion cars worldwide. By 2040 there'll be 2 billion. If you were the owner of VW or Porsche or whatever car, if you turn around and said, we don't think it's going to happen, you might miss out on a huge market potential. There are currently 4 million electric vehicles, but only 0.4% of the global vehicle fleet. So again, there's a huge market out there, and they're all going to be fighting to maintain their market share. So if you think about producers and consumers, I think government and industry are pushing the zero-emission vehicles, they're pushing automated vehicles, and the shared economy, shared ownership is coming more from the bottom up. So I think the role for government, on the one hand, is to facilitate the growth of the shared economy through laws and regulations, and to stimulate the market for electric or zero-emission vehicles and automated vehicles through incentives and education. Forgive my two students, they've heard this before. We have something called the 20-60-20 rule. If you're ever trying to change behaviour, there's a general rule of thumb that 20% of the people will do what you want them to do. 20% will never do what you want them to do. It's the ones in the middle that you have, as a public policy practitioner, that you have to educate and take with you. So it's the ones in the middle that are the key ones. If we apply that here, what we're talking about, the 20% who will willingly change, well, at the moment, that may seem a little optimistic if we look at the numbers of electric and automated vehicles. It may be more realistic for shared ownership. The 20% who will never change, well, if you want to get to 100% zero emission, 100% automation, you have to get these people to change, okay? And you have to manage that opposition when you're working in the public policy arena. You have to remember every driver is also a voter. You cannot afford as a politician to alienate large sections of the community. What if that 20% is more like 50%? You're going to have an awful lot of people not wanting to change either the vehicle they drive or the ownership. Those left in the middle, well, that depends on how many there are on either side. And you have to make the alternatives attractive enough to stimulate demand. Again, these drivers are voters. Okay, remember that. And I think you'll probably have more opposition to automation than you will have to electrification. We've also got to remember that we're working on different time profiles. Technology normally tends to be ahead of legal and regulatory frameworks and ahead of acceptability and adoption and user preference. So we have to make sure that will all three come together at some point in the future? Will we have the technology with the right legal and regulatory framework and people accepting that this is the way forward? If those three don't come together, then the future scenario will be somewhat different. You've also probably seen this graph of diffusion of innovation. If you think electric vehicles and automated vehicles are innovations. And innovation is an idea translated into something of value that people will pay for. Think about that with your electric vehicle and your automated vehicle. Does it have value to the person buying it to make them buy it? If they don't think it has value, they will not pay for it. Okay? There'll be a few of you, including me, who remember what's on the left. This is an old telephone. And I remember growing up in the era where you didn't have mobile phones, and then mobile phones came to where they are now with mass adoption. Early mobile phones were different, and they were better. They were portable, they had more functionality than a normal phone, they had an image, I want one. People recognized that they had value that they were prepared to pay for. And that is why now virtually everybody has a mobile phone. Are electric vehicles that attractive? Are they an innovation to the innovators? The innovators want to be different. They want to be the market leaders. We're trying to make them buy something that costs more, has an inferior range, maybe an inferior image, has refueling problems compared to a normal car, and the product range is not as great. So why would this be attractive to the innovators out there in society? For electric vehicles to be attractive, it has to offer something different, but something better to what you have at the moment. And at the moment, the only better is the emissions. But do people really care enough about that to go out and buy one and put up with the problem of range, image, product, and so forth? Even the very first mobile phones, very large, offered sufficient advantages over normal phones to outweigh the disadvantages. And now I think what you'll find is the first EVs have the perception that they are significantly worse and they cost more. So why on earth would you buy one? There is no real reason, apart from the environmental issue, why would you pay more for a product that is perceived to be significantly inferior? I think we got off to a very poor start. We didn't think it through very carefully. We didn't probably get our marketing right. And so now I think we're on the back foot. We face an uphill battle to convince the public that EVs are a good thing. We need to overcome the upfront costs that are still significant. We have to overcome problems with range and recharging. We have to overcome the public misconceptions that people have about electric vehicles. Vehicle supply, are there enough of them? Can we build enough of them in time when the demand grows? Energy, if everybody goes home from work at 5 o'clock and plugs in their car for recharging, will the national infrastructure be able to handle the demand? What about other vehicles, public transport, and so forth? So just emphasize range and recharging and energy systems are key elements here. So let's just think about automated vehicles. Where is the road safety problem globally? 90% of fatalities occur in low and middle income countries. Around 75% of them in middle income countries. This is not where automated vehicles will be for another 40, 50, 60 years. Okay? The penetration, how are we going to get automated vehicles to flow from high-income countries to middle and low-income countries, where the safety benefits are enormous, the potential. I think you're probably looking at 50 or 60 years before you're going to start seeing automated vehicles operating in middle and low-income countries. So if we think about high-income countries, is road safety a big enough selling point for me as a car owner? We often see vehicle automation presented, I think, in quite a misleading manner. It seems to me here you were saying, well, to get from level 0 to 1, then 1 to 2, it's a little bit. And to get from 4 to 5 is the same as getting from 1 to 2. No. We are at the moment level 4, where we can have parking garaging, where you leave your car at the front of the garage and it will drive itself to the parking space. To get from that to full automation is a massive step. Level 5 is probably over there by the wall somewhere. We came in by bus from the airport last night and the traffic was very, very chaotic. Okay? Think about all the different environments within Europe within which automated vehicles are going to perform. And if people think that moving from level 4 to level 5 is the same as level 3 to level 4, there's a long, long way to go yet. Okay, so just to start drawing this to a close, I thought I'd try and do some kind of strengths and weaknesses analysis. In terms of the good things that are happening at the moment, there is considerable financial investment in research and development, electric vehicle automation. There is considerable international, political and industrial commitment to this. The technologies are evolving. There are on-road trials of automated vehicles. Maybe this is making people realise what they don't realise they really want. And there is the market pull of the shared economy that is growing. In terms of opportunities, there is a huge market potential out there. Hopefully, as a society, we will become even more environmentally aware, and therefore that will grow the demand for electric vehicles. Can the high-income countries act as a catalyst for global change? There are new research agendas, and obviously if we can stimulate market demand, then we'll see the market for EV and automated vehicles grow. On the rather more negative side, the weaknesses, we've had a very, very slow start to the take-up of electric vehicles and their inferior performance compared to what we have in the majority of the market. There is public fear of automated vehicles. I think in the newspapers yesterday there has been another minor incident with an automated vehicle, but it gets on the national and international news. So it's very, very high profile. One very, very worrying thing is the long time horizon that we're looking at. We're looking 20, 30, 40 years ahead before we get to what we're going to achieve. So in terms of the threats, how do we maintain that political commitment over the next 2 or 3 decades? There may be a continued lack of market pull. The sharing economy may only remain very, very small. We may be overtaken by new technology. Technology will not stand still. We're always playing catch-up. Maybe we might say, well, why would I buy an electric vehicle now when hydrogen will be a much better option in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? So there's a danger of being overtaken by technology. I talked about road safety and the global benefits. There's a danger that we won't be able to achieve the full benefits in the low and middle income countries, and we may get a very, very fragmented mobility market where you might have one city that has full automation and neighbouring city that doesn't. Or we may have one country that's fully automated and the neighbour isn't. How can you drive and operate between the two? How do we have HGVs operating across Europe with different levels of automation, different levels of electrification? So going back to a figure I showed at the start, how far along those three dimensions do we think we will get at what point in time? And just think about that. The challenges ahead, do we really understand what users really want? I'm a professional transport academic, but I don't really want an electric car, I don't really want an automated car. Okay? I know it's better for the environment, I know it's safer, but I enjoy other aspects of driving. Do we understand what impact automation will have? Will it cause more or less congestion? I think there's a danger that people will walk and cycle a lot less, and that will have a big impact on health. Will we end up with the point-to-point commercial mobility service, where other forms of transport are unable to compete? Public transport operators have a lot of hard thinking to do. How are they going to compete in this new market? Importantly, how can we avoid being hypnotized by new technologies? Just because something looks fantastic isn't the right thing. Electrification, I can see the argument. Is automation, okay, we can do it. Do we really need it? That's the question. Is it the right solution? How do we, as public policy practitioners, convince the public that it's the right thing? Are the motivations for change transparent? Final thoughts and conclusions. It is very difficult to sell something to someone who thinks they don't need it. Okay? So if people don't think they need an electric vehicle or an automated vehicle, how do we overcome that? How do we generate the market demand? Education on one hand, some kind of enforcement. In the UK, we have been told that you will not be able to buy a new car that is not electric after 2040. So there's some kind of enforcement coming in. But we are working in the public policy arena, where politics can become involved. We've got to get the balance right between education and enforcement. The environmental benefits, how much of a motivating factor are they in terms of vehicle purchase and vehicle choice? Safety, do I really think I'm going to have a crash? No. And therefore I don't need an automated vehicle. As far as I'm concerned. The move from level 4 to level 5 should not be underestimated. And yes, we can do it with 1 or 2 vehicles in a very controlled environment. Can we do it with thousands of vehicles in a more uncontrolled environment? The benefits are going to take many, many years to come to fruition, and much will happen and change during that period. Will the objectives remain the same? And just my final thoughts and conclusions. Electric vehicles will probably happen, in my opinion. If we can stimulate the market sufficiently, they're not really a lot different from what we do at the moment. So for me as a driver, it's not that much of a change. Okay, it's electric rather than petrol, somewhat. Automation is a much more significant societal change. There is much more public scepticism about safety and the need for automation. And as I said before, the move from level 4 to level 5 is huge, and upscaling from a small demonstration locally, nationally, internationally is really quite significant. Shared ownership, I think, will continue to grow, but take some time before it becomes the main way in which we own like vehicle. A significant worry is the long time horizon. Politicians are normally only around for 5 or 10 years. Okay? How will the next generation of politicians pick up the baton and run with it? They may have different ideas that they want to be remembered for. It may not be the same one. Within the room, what will our research agenda look like? If there are no accidents because of automation, if there is no pollution because of electrification, what kind of things will we be researching in the 20, 30, 40 years time? I'm finished.
Thank you very much. Okay. There are questions? No? Okay. Good. We stop here the... Professor Inturri.
Activities. Thank you very much, Neil, for your overview. Very interesting where we are and these visions of the future. You focus on 4 main drivers: the connection, the sharing, the energy, and yes, automation. But maybe another characteristics for the future, focusing only on individual cars, is the size of cars, because the trend of the market is that they are becoming bigger and bigger. Even if they are automated, electric, connected, they occupy a lot of space, of public space that is not available for living in the city. So maybe something, some reflections about that. Can you give us?
Yeah, the size of vehicle is important, and at the moment, I think a lot of it is the bigger the car, the bigger you are as a person. And people are going to have to accept culturally that vehicles are not what they were before. They are a social status symbol. And we've got to probably move away from that they are not saying how much money you've got, and the bigger my car, the more money I've got. The smaller they are, obviously that will mean that we require less land for parking, for road space that we can reclaim for other activities. I know there's been quite a lot of work done in London looking at if we can reclaim so much road space, what we can use it for economically. So yes, I think we're moving probably away from the car being a status symbol into merely a form of movement that you don't own either. Which is important, because will you share a vehicle after I've been in it? Maybe not.
Okay, other question? Okay, stop here the work. The appointment is 8 p.m. Ristorante Alcovo dei Briganti, Alcovo dei Beati Paoli. Okay? Good. Later. I'll see you later.